When you're sitting around the table later this weekend and you're giving your thanks for Thanksgiving, there's so much to be thankful for as an Arizona Cardinals fan, including the win this weekend, 23-13, a dominating performance after a bad week against the Carolina Panthers the previous week against the Seattle Seahawks. Alex and I, we're giving thanks all episode long. It's Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, rise up, Red Sea. It's a victory Monday here on Locked On Cardinals, a big-time win for the Redbirds, 23-13, dominating performance over the Seattle Seahawks. That offense did not get back on track for Russell Wilson and crew. It was 4 sacks from the Arizona Cardinals defense. It was Colt McCoy getting back on track after a down week against the Carolina Panthers. He recaptures the magic against another division foe. After going ham against the 49ers, is another performance, probably even better performance against the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday. Cardinals improved to 9-2. It's Bo Brock. It's Alex Clancy. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. We're here with you Monday. We're here with you Tuesday. We're here with you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, except for this week. Thursday, Friday, we're taking it off for the holiday. It's the Cardinals bye week. Why not? And Alex, the Cardinals in the driver's seat for the NFC after this victory, improving to 9-2.
What the hell's going on here?
I don't know. Crazy pills.
In 2018, Bo was trying to get off the show. You know? He wasn't. But I mean, Colt McCoy, it kind of feels like this. It kind of feels like, you're playing rec league basketball, okay? And your best player is going on vacation for 2 weeks with his girlfriend or his family, being very selfish, as it pertains to the rec league team. And he's got an uncle who, he's been around the team, but he comes in and watches games and kind of coaches on the sideline. That's kind of what Colt McCoy feels like. He just rolls in and balls out 2 games out of 3, which you'll take. You'd much rather have 2 great and 1 bad instead of 3, middle ground where you could win or lose either game. It's been a true 1-53, 1-47, whatever it is, and coaching staff team effort every Sunday, regardless of who's out there. And J.J. Watt wasn't there. They got pressure on the quarterback against Russell Wilson. And, Zach Ertz has been an absolute vision. AJ Green had a very, very good showing today. Almost 100 yards receiving, got open. The jump ball passes down the sideline are still in his repertoire, even though it's Colt McCoy throwing it to him. Like, everything's working. Rodney Hudson is an absolute machine in the middle of the offensive line. Like, bring everybody back. This isn't like an overstatement. Bring them all back. Everybody. Because it's working. It's crazy.
Your analogy was it was strange. It was very specific. It's almost like you lived that one at some point.
I've done it before. I've staged before.
It's interesting though. I mean, in this win, the Arizona Cardinals, we knew where Colt McCoy was successful and how he was successful against the San Francisco 49ers. And that was just hitting on short passes and getting into the playmakers' hands and then making big plays. You had the big James Conner screen. You had Christian Kirk being a big part of the game plan there. And then they completely got pushed around by the Carolina Panthers and taken out of that game plan. They weren't able to run it back. But this week, they imposed their will on the Seattle Seahawks on defense, and they got back to that game plan. That's what that was. When you say, hey, you know what it's going to take to stop us, but we're going to do what we know is successful, and we're just going to run our offense. And that's what they did, and they did it successfully. Colt McCoy goes over 300 yards passing, 328. He's 35 for 44. He's got the 2 touchdowns to Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz goes for 88 yards on 8 catches in those 2 scores, 2 big catches on the, pretty much the drive that put the exclamation point on this W. I mean, it was just an impressive win for the Arizona Cardinals on both sides of the ball. We'll get into the defense, but offensively, man, to go 2-1 without your 2 key cogs in there and DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, I mean, just hats off to Cliff Kingsbury and crew.
I mean, the fact that Colt McCoy threw the ball 44 times just makes me want to throw up. If you were to have told me that Colt McCoy were to throw the ball 34 times and that he would throw for over 300 yards, I would have said they lost by 2 touchdowns.
They were chasing
because they
points.
Constantly have to be. Yeah. And the fact that they went, I think they were 6 of 8 on third down in the first half, and they finished 7 of 14, so they slipped back a little bit, but it seemed like whenever it was second and medium or third and medium today, they always dialed up the right play to get somebody open. And this could have something to do with Seattle's defense being terrible, which is possible. But also, like Zach Ertz in the middle of the field, one of the announcers were talking about how on third and medium, when Colt McCoy was scrambling, Zach Ertz just did a reverse pivot and went the complete opposite way of his route and found himself wide open for a big first down conversion. Like, that's veteran stuff that doesn't get talked about a lot. But it's just little things like that move the ball down the field. And also, Rondale Moore, 11 catches today. Like a random 11 catches for 50 yards. They definitely tried to get him involved when they knew that they were lacking on the skill position side.
Yeah, Zach Ertz had the catch you were talking about. And that one, there was an incidental, pick in the middle of the field that took Jamal Adams out of the play. And Zach Ertz is just there with wide open space to move the chains on that drive. Pivotal play there. And then Jamal Adams later in that drive is draped all over Zach Ertz, PI in the end zone, puts the ball at the 1 yard line, and the Arizona Cardinals were able to punch it in. James Conner absolutely that game was over. I mean, it was a 10-point lead at that point, just about 2 minutes left for Russell Wilson and crew to try to do anything, and they couldn't. It was just, I mean, the Arizona Cardinals at 9-2 now, and there was a bad loss by the Dallas Cowboys, and there was a bad loss by the Green Bay Packers, and the LA Rams are idle, and they're coming off a bad loss. The Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray in the lineup, you could probably call Green Bay a bad loss because AJ Green doesn't turn around, but it was to a really good team. There isn't any bad losses on that resume. There's probably one if you want to make the case with your backup quarterback starting against Carolina, because Carolina lost to the Washington football team, but the Arizona Cardinals have the best resume in football right now.
Yeah. And people I'm already starting to see people who are comparing the Cardinals team right now to the Steelers, who started 11-0 last year. The Steelers played like 8 of the worst teams in football in the first 11 weeks. So it's not a direct comparison. And this year, it's more about how you can play against the 4-5, the 3-4, the 4-6 teams than the bad teams. Because look at what happened with Jacksonville and Buffalo. Okay, you're right. Green Bay, they had their bad loss early. Tampa Bay's lost a couple bad games. The Rams, and it's everybody's. Dallas has looked terrible 2 out of the last 3 weeks. So, as you mentioned, all of those things. The Cardinals have beat good teams, and Cleveland obviously isn't. But when the Cardinals played them, they were healthier. This has been a hard-fought 9 wins. There hasn't been a cakewalk, even though the Cardinals have seemingly made it look like that from time to time. The Cardinals were down 14-7 at halftime against Jacksonville because of that 108-yard missed field goal return.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been easy ever. They've just made it look easy, especially in week 1 against Tennessee. But you can't cheapen their record by any stretch.
No, anybody. Who is that? I mean, I'll quote Michael Scott when he's talking
stupid idiot faces.
Toby Flenderson is like, why are you the way that you are? Like, what was wrong with you? Like, you see some sort of something that compares them to it, but they're not even close. Like, the Arizona Cardinals are a way more complete team. And we're seeing that even this season than what the Pittsburgh Steelers were last year when they started. Was it 11-0? And then they lost to Washington, and they lost, would they lose like 4 straight after that, or 3 of 4? It was brutal, but the Arizona Cardinals aren't in the same boat. They're not. And they're 9-2 going into their bye week, and then they take on the Chicago Bears after that. Let's get more into this. Some more takeaways from this win. We pretty much hit a lot of the offense. The defense set the tone in this contest like they've done all season long. Where were the big plays being made? Who was making them? We'll tell you. It's Locked On Cardinals. Thanks for making us your first listen. Bo Brack, Alex Clancy. Follow along on Twitter at Bob Brack, at Clancy's Corner. I do got to tell you about DirecTV Stream. It brings live TV, your on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports like NFL Sunday or Monday Night Football, but also switch between your on-demand favorites. You've seen the commercial, Serena Williams in the Wonder Woman outfit. That's because somebody's just watching Wonder Woman while watching Serena Williams play tennis live, and it's seamless. But that's not even the best part. The best part is there's no annual contract. You don't have to lock in with DirecTV Stream like you have to do with a lot of cable companies. DirecTV.com for more information. That's DirecTV.com. Bo Brack, Alex Clancy. Victory Monday for the Arizona Cardinals. A big 23-13 pounding of the Seattle Seahawks. You know, they scored their first touchdown in, I think, 7 quarters. It was like, I think at that point, the tally was 19 straight drives for Russell Wilson and crew without finding the end zone. And then it was DJ Dallas who punched it in. This was after Matt Prater, another missed field goal. He missed 3 in the game, or he missed 2 field goals in the game and an extra point. And Russell Wilson also found, for the 3rd time in that game, a big play with Tyler Lockett. That was probably the only issue that this defense had all game long, was keeping Tyler Lockett covered when Russell Wilson was able to kind of create more time in or out of the pocket. And then DJ Dallas punches in, and we've got a ball game at that point. But then a hats off to the Arizona Cardinals for going down and salting this game away. Just really impressive. But the defense, you know, we do our live halftime show, and you and I said, okay, the offense needs to run the ball better, and then the defense needs to get more pressure on Russell Wilson, because they opened the game on the opening drive. They got 2 sacks, one from Chandler Jones and the other from Isaiah Simmons, who I think that Vance Joseph put on the edge a lot more than we've been used to seeing, to supplement that pass rush that's been kind of down the last couple of weeks, and it worked. And then in the second half, Chandler Jones again. And then also you had the junkyard dog, Marcus Golden, rack his 10th sack of the season. So we saw that. And this defense really did finish the job.
All they have to do is be good and not great with Kyler Murray and everybody back. And if they can be great and the Cardinals offense can be great, the Cardinals can win a Super Bowl. Like, this isn't a joke anymore. Like, the repetition of what we've seen from the defense, especially the last 2 weeks. Okay, with Carolina, the offense did not give them a situation to succeed in. Because I like to remind people, NFL players are human beings and they get tired. If defensive players are on the field a long time, it's more difficult because they have to be on, they have to live off trust and instinct and not know what the play is going to be. It's like any sport. You have to exert a lot less energy on offense than you do on defense. And what we've seen across the landscape of the first 11 weeks is this defense is really good. They're either 3rd or 4th in fewest amount of points per game on average given up. If they can do that, the Cardinals can win the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter who they play against. It doesn't matter who they play against. If this defense can be that special.
Yeah, a good defense plays against anybody. It really does. I mean, that's why you see teams like Tampa, if you can get them out of their offensive game flow. They lost to Washington last weekend. You saw, like, you just see a defense can play against anybody, and it showed up, and it showed out again. 2 for 10 on 3rd down. That was what the Seahawks were on Sunday. Just not being able to stay on the field. They just couldn't continue, but they couldn't maintain drives at all. They had to rely on the big play, and they couldn't get it done. They were also 0 for 1 on 4th down. I mean, that's them just getting back to where they were, before week 10 against Carolina. That's the fluke game. Like, Carolina's the fluke game. And you're right. It was the Mike Tyson cliche saying, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. They got absolutely just haymaker punched in the mouth by the Carolina Panthers, and they weren't able to recover. But this is the damn marathon. Like, if you expect perfection, if you expect them to not have a hiccup like they did in week 10, you're expecting perfection, and that's too much. You're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah.
This is a really good team.
One of the best things that ever happened to the NFL was the Patriots losing the Super Bowl when they went undefeated, because it shows that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just shows that it doesn't matter. And people in the 70s, you can enjoy your Dolphins and your cigars and your champagne. It's probably bad for your teeth at this point. So you can do with that as you please. Yeah. And I thought that the hiccup game was going to be Chicago, and it ended up being Carolina, but for completely different reasons. And it still could be Chicago. Like, the Cardinals' schedule isn't going to get easier. The Colts look like they could take that division now, even though they're a couple games behind the AFC. Like, it's not going to get easier for the Cardinals. But after what we saw in Seattle and in San Francisco, is the Cardinals don't have to worry as much if Kyler Murray can't play any more games, any sporadic games down the rest of the season, like they had to with Chris Streveler and Brett Hundley over the last 2 years. Like, the reality is Steve Keim, Cliff Kingsbury, and potentially Kyler Murray could sweep the awards, because all of the other quarterbacks that are playing like poop that had a chance to become the MVP, for lack of a better phrase. Like, Aaron Rodgers is playing great. He blew the roof off, but they lost. Dak Prescott looks like a bad quarterback 2 out of the last 3 weeks. And if Kyler Murray comes back and doesn't miss a game and the Cardinals get the 1 or 2 seed, he's going to win the MVP unless it's Patrick Mahomes and, whatever. But in the NFC, at least, Kyler still has a chance to be the best quarterback, even though he hasn't played the last 3 weeks.
For sure. I mean, Jonathan Taylor might have entered that chat this week with 5 touchdowns.
Sheesh.
Really good second-year player. And Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. Getting back to this defense, we are going to get into the conversation as far as after the bye week. I think that Colt McCoy he settled everybody down. Everybody was panicking. Everybody, like the sky was falling. Nobody believed that Colt McCoy, they thought it was a fluke against the San Francisco 49ers. And the reality was the Carolina Panthers. And he was able to calm those people down and say, hey, I can come in and I can win you a game in a pinch. I can. And that was huge. That was huge for McCoy to do on Sunday. But just putting a kind of a button on this defense, I once again, there was a bust by Jalen Thompson at one point in this game, but I love seeing Jalen Thompson. Like there was a couple plays where the ball carrier got past their initial attempt at a tackle, and Jalen Thompson put that guy on his back. Like, I love the toughness from this defense. I love the way that these defensive backs, including the corners, tackle on this team. I think that separates them from a lot of teams that struggle in that area. I really like how this defense is playing right now.
And former Cardinals cornerbacks who didn't like to do that so much.
Right. I saw him on Sunday, P3, show that he remains allergic to tackling. I saw that in the game against Green Bay. So, it looks like the hammy's fine for P3, but he's back to not wanting to make contact with anybody. It's Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Arizona Cardinals after the bye week. It's kind of a bummer. It couldn't have come at a better time, but it's kind of a bummer. We're not going to get to break down a game next week. But everybody, I hope you enjoy your week off from Cardinals football. But what's it going to look like for the Arizona Cardinals once they return? We'll kind of look a little bit further. But, here's the best way that you can celebrate another victory for the Arizona Cardinals. Alex?
Yeah, Bo, it's DirecTV and it's Built Bar, man. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar on the planet. I haven't talked about this in a while, but there is going to be a distribution center of sorts in Phoenix for Built Bar coming soon. So that means you're going to be able to get Built Bar quicker and faster than you ever have. And if you haven't tried a Built Bar already, you're not smart. They say it's a protein bar, but it doesn't taste like one. They're all covered with chocolate. They've got a bunch of different flavors. They're like 6 bites. They don't taste like chalk. 18 grams of protein, less than 5 grams of sugar, high fiber, low calorie. And it's perfect for your morning coffee, after child feeding or waking up at 3:30 in the morning to rock your child back to sleep. Bo will ingest his Built Bar so his wife doesn't find them first. There's many different ways. They're very flexible. Built Bar is the way to go. Raspberry, coconut, mint brownie, coconut almond, salted caramel, double chocolate, cherry barcia. This month, Built Bar is rolling out a new flavor every 3 to 4 days. So they're going to keep you on your damn toes. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your first order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Bo?
So that was a nice little gift that I received over the weekend. It was a little complimentary box from Built Bar. Did you receive one?
What?
Oh, you're on the road.
I'm out of Townsies.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
It's a little mix box, and they've got some of those limited time flavors. If you do follow them on social at bar built or _ built, you can find that they've got a vanilla flavor that's there. And also today I had, before the game, it was like a lemon cake. And you're like, I don't know.
Sure.
I think it's kind of a polarizing flavor, right? But it tastes exactly like a lemon meringue cake. It's unbelievable. It's like, I don't know what it's like throwing the football DeAndre Hopkins' way. Why wouldn't you do it more often? Trust DeAndre Hopkins. Trust Built Bar. It's Bo Brack, Alex Clancy here on a Monday edition of Locked On Cardinals. Thanks for making us your first listen. Now let's just kind of let's jump in the DeLorean. Let's go into 88 and take a look at
who needs a time machine. I'm going to say it every time.
Right. Where we're going, we don't need any roads. The Cardinals 9-2. They get a week off. Great time to do it. Thanksgiving weekend, right? The Rams will come back and play the Packers in a big NFC showdown. We'll see who wins that game, but good cannibalism either way. Whoever loses that game, it benefits the Cardinals, one for the division or one just for the overall NFC playoff picture. The Cardinals play the Chicago Bears on the road, and it was week 13. Is Kyler Murray back in the lineup?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's been close for 20 days.
24 days as of Sunday.
Yeah, so that'll be, I mean, math is terrible. That'll be 38 days.
Yeah.
Between games if he plays on Sunday. Over a month without football and only missing 3 games is pretty good. I mean, that's good math for the Cardinals. I don't know. Like, here's the thing, is the Bears are really bad. Like, they're really bad. Justin Fields got hurt. You never want to see that. If Andy Dalton's starting, maybe you put the two ancient warriors up against each other with Colt McCoy. At this point, the Cardinals can travel. They're 6-0. Bo, they're 6-0. They have 9 road games total.
Mm-hmm.
After week 12, or after week 13, they'll be done with 7 of them with 6 weeks to go. 4 home, 2 road. Like, that is a very, very good setup, especially for a team that's 9-2. I would play him if he's healthy. We're going to talk about that so much. I mean, at this point, you just have to count the stars. The Cardinals are 9-2 going in, and they have 2 weeks off. 14 days before they play again. And remember, we talked about this last year. I can't remember who they played on Thanksgiving, but it was an inferior opponent. And we're like, Sunday, Thanksgiving, family, things like that. It's just like, it's a weird week. And the fact that they have their bye week on Thanksgiving week is just another little ball that bounces their way.
Yeah.
It just be with your family, stay the hell away from football for the week.
For sure. Yeah, the Bears a bad loss to not Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. It was Tyler Huntley was in the lineup because of an illness for Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens were able to outlast the Bears 16-13. The Bears are 3-7 as of right now, and that's the Arizona Cardinals' next opponent. You know, as you said, 38 days it will be since Kyler Murray took the field after hurting his ankle. I think he'll be good to go, and I think it'll be important for him to, you don't necessarily want to go out there and play the frigid temperatures on the frozen tundra of Soldier Field, and at that point it will be December. But I think it'd be important for Kyler Murray to kind of knock the rust off, because then you got the big game on Monday Night Football against the LA Rams, and it doesn't get bigger than that in the regular season. It doesn't, and I'd like to see Kyler kind of get some reps before that contest goes down. But the Arizona Cardinals, as you're sitting around the Thanksgiving table and people start giving their thanks about health and employment or whatever it may be, you say, thank you for Colt McCoy. Thank you for Cliff Kingsbury. Thank you for all these Arizona Cardinals players that have made this. Thank you for James Conner. Thank you for AJ Green and his career resurgence. Thank you for Alex Clancy and his hot takes on Twitter. I mean, it's been a blast of a season so far.
Yeah, it's truly Christmas come early.
Yeah.
Like, all of these presents that you got for your birthday. It's every name. The fact that James Conner, AJ Green, Zach Ertz, Rodney Hudson, Colt McCoy, that it all is working in synchronicity, serendipitous synchronicity. It's wild, because they're one-offs. They're all guys that nobody else wanted.
Yeah.
Like Rodney Hudson would have had his contract voided. He would have got a lot of money somewhere else. And hopefully he'll retire a Cardinal. James Conner is having a career renaissance, but in a specific role, not as the bell cow 98 touches a game where you're going to be out in 6 weeks. And hopefully Chase Edmonds will come back after the bye week. Like, AJ Green being a wide receiver 2 with DeAndre Hopkins out, they don't have a wide receiver 1. Like, it's all. This is the stat that I wanted to say. I saw it on the broadcast. 18 fumbles by the Cardinals this year, leading the NFL, and they've only lost 3 of them. So that's something to keep in mind for the last 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
That ain't going to last forever. And you're always about that. You're like, the ball has bounced the Cardinals' way a lot on the field. 18 fumbles is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, winning the turnover margin, that was such a huge part to their hot start. They were third, I think, in the NFL going into the Carolina game. I have to update where they are statistically, but it doesn't get any easier. Chicago is an important game as we kind of look forward, because then you got LA. Sure, you've got Detroit, but Indy's trending in the right direction. Indy beat the crap out of the Buffalo Bills today, and they've got Carson Wentz is getting better. Jonathan Taylor, as we mentioned, one of the better players in the league right now. That's your game on Christmas. And then you've got Dallas, and then you've got hopefully Seattle will have just completely packed it in by the regular season finale. But you've got, 1, 2, 3 potential playoff teams left on the remaining in the schedule. And then you've got some pretty bad teams that you can beat up on in between. And if you can take care of business against a couple of those playoff teams, you're still in the driver's seat. It's really incredible where the Arizona Cardinals are, how much, you talk about I mean, they're just in such a good spot right now for not only the division, but for the NFC top playoff spot. Brack, Alex Clancy, follow along on Twitter at Brack, at Clancy's Corner, and at Locked On AZCards. We're talking tomorrow more about Kyler Murray potentially getting back in the lineup after the bye. We're talking about some of those guys on one-year deals. Who's it going to become? We visited that conversation once. Get back into it a little bit here and this week, and then we'll get you into the bye week so you can enjoy some downtime, and then we'll get right back, ramp this thing up for the remainder of the season and probably the playoffs. Crazy. Next time, we're going to be previewing the Arizona Cardinals potentially getting their 10th win of the season. Cliff Kingsbury already beat his career high in wins, 9 now through 11 games. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's magic. And because I got excited, little extra thing to be excited about. The Sunday night game, the week the Cardinals play the Cowboys, it's Vikings and Packers. So be ready for a flexed out Kyler Murray in Dallas, potentially for the 1 seed in the NFC with 1 week to play afterwards. Just buckle up, kids. This S is going to be wild for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, man. We're so thankful you make Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Now make Locked On Bets your one-stop daily shop for all your gambling needs. You got a Monday Night Football game tonight. You want to check it out? You want to get some action? Locked On Bets, Lee Sterling is going to hook you up with some great insight along with your boy Q. Expert analysis, insight on Locked On Bets. We'll talk to you Tuesday. If you're watching on YouTube, if you subscribe, thank you. Our episode will premiere at 10 a.m. We'll talk to you then. Locked On Cardinals.